Good morning to you all and welcome to Africa University Job Fair under the theme, The 21st Century Recruiter and the Future of Work. Without wasting much of your time, as you know that Africa University is God's project, and we want to make sure that whatever we do, the Lord is helping us. So I will call upon the chaplain, Reverend Maud Mchanyere, to give us the opening prayer. Chaplain.
Thank you very much, Doc. A pleasant morning to all of us in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All protocol observed. I'm going to read from Proverbs 16 verse 3, which says, commit to the Lord whatever you do and he will establish your plans. I'm also going to refer to Matthew 13 verse 18 to 23. I'm not going to read out that one. The parable of the sower, we are all familiar with that. And when we go through the parable of the sower, he went out to plant seed, but there are 4 types of soils that he planted on. First was where there was no soil at all, the rocky ground with little soil, and on the thorns, though the soil was there, but it was thorny. And finally on the good soil. And I want to believe that as Africa University, as we come to this job fair, our belief and our trust is those we have invited who are participating with us, we are planting on good soil. We are sending people who are going to, we are giving information and sending out students who are going to make a difference in the world. And as students, as we gather here, you want to ask yourself, what kind of soil am I that Africa University is investing in me? I'm praying that you are the greatest soil and something good is going to come out. May the Lord bless this gathering, that it shall be not in vain, but one day we will take time to reflect and share with shareholders and stakeholders that what we did that day, come see what the Lord has done in our alumni. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we bow our heads before you. You are the beginning and you are the end. We thank you, Almighty God, for gathering us at Africa University. Standing, Almighty Father, before your children today, I commit this program unto your hands. Men plan, but it takes you, Lord, to bless our plans so that they become successful. I'm praying, Almighty God, this morning for each and every student who is here. Father, I'm praying in the name of Jesus that whatsoever is going to be shared during this job fair, we are planting on good soil. As we'll be releasing them to the world, we pray, Almighty Father, that the seed that was planted at Africa University is going to multiply and make a difference. But this is a time of planting. I want to thank you for each and every invited guest who will be presenting today. I pray that their words will not be in vain, but they shall change lives. They shall change, Almighty Father, destinies. For there is someone today who is thirsty to say, the ground is ready, but the seed has to be put where I am ready to harvest. We thank you and we glorify your name. Be with us, Lord. Continue with us. We surrender this program unto your hands in the mighty name of the Lord, now and forevermore. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Can we have a round of applause for the Chaplain, please? Without wasting time, I will call upon our Director of Advancement and Public Affairs, Ms. Janet Dazi, to give us the introductions. Ms. Janet Dazi.
Good morning once again, everyone. Kindly allow me a few moments to make some introductions of the dignitaries that are joining us today. Lend me your ears just for this period. We begin today's introductions with our Vice Chancellor, Reverend Professor Peter Mageto from Kenya. Our guest speaker for this morning, Dr. Gordon Simango, Director of the All Africa Conference of Churches under the African Union Office and Advocacy. We now acknowledge members of the Vice Chancellor's Executive Cabinet, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Talan Garikai, the Registrar, Dr. Pedzisai Mangejo, University Bursar, Mrs. Tsungai Marabi, Librarian, Dr. Rosemary Maturure, Director of ICT, Mr. Richard Hodson, Director of Alumni Internationalization and Church Relations, Mr. Wenam Dabale, Personal Assistant to the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Kudakwashe Muchena. We now acknowledge our academic leadership, beginning with the Dean of the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences, Dr. Yogesh Awasti. Dean of the School of Law, Dr. Tendai Nenga. Dean of the College of Social Sciences, Theology, Humanities and Education, Professor Tichayenzana Manyao. Dean of the College of Health, Agriculture and Natural Sciences, Professor Christian Ezala. Dean of the College of Business, Peace, Leadership and Governance, Professor Stanley Muraibo. Our Head of Career Advising and Professional Development and our most generous hostess for the proceedings of today, Mrs. Tsungai Maravi. Mrs. Tsungi Manunure. Forgive me for that, don't kick me out. Student Representative Council President, Mr. Zaid Patel. We now acknowledge our distinguished panelists representing corporations, organizations, and various sectors. We begin with Mrs. Jessamine Chonzi, Regional Industry Manager, Financial Institution Group, Eastern Africa. She is joining us online. We can all wave at her so that she can see you. Dr. Trevor Kanyoa, UHC Healthier Population Team Leader, World Health Organization. Mr. Calvin K. Nari, Head of Talent and Organizational Development, Econet Wireless Private Limited. Mr. Wildrick Ndoro, Mutasa District Coordinator, Public Service Commission. Ms. Lisa Chinyangwa, Program Officer, Registration and Compliance, Council of Social Workers. Mr. Cleopas Chiketa, Director, Human Resources and Administration, Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Dr. Kingston Chitotombe, Provincial Environment Manager, Manicaland Environmental Management Authority. Dr. Mielani Mkaro, Medical Doctor and Clinical Manager, CMS. Ms. Rutendo Magorimbo, Managing Director of Old Mutual Life. Mr. Simbarashe Mambende, Human Resources Officer, UNICEF. Mr. William Madudike, Director, Little Blackwood Farm, ZFU Chairperson. Mrs. Mercy Nongo, Head of Human Resources, City of Mutare. various corporates that we have that are joining us as exhibitors, you're also most warmly welcome. Heads of department, directors, Africa University members of staff, and last but certainly not least, our students. Give yourselves the largest round of applause. That's how you clap for yourselves. Dr. Gadzikwa said you must feel your impact. Feel your impact. Louder for yourself. Thank you very much. You're all acknowledged and warmly welcomed. I wish you a good morning.
Thank you, Director. Indeed, it's the full house. We have the who and who of the world. So the world has come here where Africa happens every day. Without wasting time again, I want to call upon our spiritual leader and academic leader, Reverend Professor Peter Mageto. Maybe I needed to say something, but I will not say it over to you, sir.
I also won't say anything. Our guest speaker this morning, Dr. Gordon Smango, Director, All Africa Conference of Churches, Africa Union Office and Advocacy, and your wife. May I ask her to rise? She is in our meetings. Please let us acknowledge our guest speakers. That's what I know you will make an introduction of you. Ms. Chessman Jonesy joining us virtually, Regional Industry Manager, Financial Institutional Group, Eastern Africa. Dr. Trevor Kanyowa, if you allow me, I do not want to read all the organizations. Mr. Calvin Nari, Mr. Wilder Ndoro, Ms. Lisa Chinyangwa, Mr. Clopas Chiketa, Dr. Kingston Chitotombe, Dr. Milan Mkalo, Ms. Rutembo, Magorimbo, Mr. Simbarase Mabende, Mr. William Madudike, and Mrs. Masi Nongo, and others. I hope I have not forgotten someone. And then my cabinet, the Vice Chancellor's cabinet, faculty, staff, and students. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yeah, you didn't sound like you are leaving. Good morning. Now, that seems to be that greeting where you can you turn around to the next one, not my guests, but my team. Could you find if someone next to you is still breathing? Yeah, now, once you hear that bit of, something is happening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Africa University. Welcome to this School of Hope in the Valley of Dreams. Welcome to this school where we pride ourselves as a student-centered university. It is always a privilege for us to be able to gather, not because we are not engaged in our normal activities each day, but because we have a reason and a purpose as to why we should gather. I view universities as almost what the director of ceremonies meant when he said spiritual, because I come from a theological background, and therefore I make reference a lot to where my discipline is concerned. I see myself as a prophet from a university perspective. Those who spend time reading the Old Testament, they know that the prophets always spoke about the future. The prophets never spoke about the past. Universities do not speak about the past. Universities speak about the future. And therefore, when we gather today in this job fair, we do not want to take it for granted as if it is something that is happening. I know it has taken a lot of effort from a number of people to pull this together. But more importantly, as I welcome you to Africa University, I wish to emphasize an item that is so critical in the 21st century. And that is the relationship that exists between the industry and the academy. There cannot be a university that has no links with the industry. Literally, industry informs our curricula, industry informs our skills and competencies. Industry informs us where we wish to add to. And therefore, this gathering for us at Africa University is an honor, especially to our guest speaker and the representatives who will be serving as panelists, as well as exhibitors. It's very interesting that in the second letter of Paul to Corinthians, that's 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 3, there's something that Paul writes to the Corinthians. He tells them in a very clear manner, he says, you are a letter that is arising out of our ministry. But it is not a letter written in ink and pen. It is a different letter that is written in the living Spirit of God. It's very interesting that the 21st century has started changing. There were times when recruiters for jobs or positions were very eager to read letters of recommendation. Now, how many of you I have interviewed recently here and I did not ask for letters of recommendation from you? If you know I interviewed you recently at African University and we did not ask you for a letter of recommendation, just raise up your hand. Thank you, Prof. Manyao. Thank you, Prof. Isiara. Thank you, DVC. Thank you. There are a number of them here. I no longer ask for letters of recommendation because I do not believe in subjective view for me to fill a substantive position. Letters of recommendation are disappearing soon. And the key recruiters of jobs are looking for certain skills and competences. And this is to our students. Do not try to look for the Vice Chancellor to give you a recommendation letter. Even when the Vice Chancellor didn't get to know you, I will not write one. But you have an opportunity through this wonderful activity today, the job fair, for you to write that specific letter. Now, for our partners from the industries, we believe in holistic training. We take care of the mind, the soul, and the body. The founders of this university believed that in order for us to transform Africa, and that's why we are a Pan-African university, we must remain engaged in that call of holistic training. That holistic training for us is so critical, and that's why we do not necessarily believe in letters written in ink and pen. We believe in a letter written in the Spirit. And I can assure you, they are all seated here, all these students of mine, they are being formed in a very holistic manner, so you do not worry about getting a student from Africa University. Just be at peace when you get a student from Africa University. Yeah. You see, they didn't hear it very well. Not all of them heard it very well because they are still loading slowly what I said. Now to my students, let me give you a secret that you will never find. Some of us, when we attended university, we did not get opportunities of this nature. We didn't see industry come to campus to speak to us. We did not have opportunity to interact with a potential employer. We didn't. Universities then believed in credentials in the form of transcript and certificate, not anymore with these current employers. They want to interact with you in your first year, in your second year, in your third year, in your fourth year. They want to interact with you in the process of your attachment as well as in the process of you looking for a position. The period when you carried your brown or white envelope is coming to an end. And that's why I would like you to take what I call 3 points take away from here in my opening remarks. To my students, to the industry, together all of us have an opportunity to do the following 3. 1, we are opening doors by such a gathering. For the recruiters, you are opening a door for a potential talent, skill, or competency that you have been looking for a while. You are likely to find it here. So that stops you from advertising. For my students, you have the potential to open that door simply by getting an opportunity to interact with a potential employer or recruiter who is with us. And if it is not the one, they are likely to be knowing someone else who may take care of your talent. Can you imagine if I am recruited when I'm first year? Assured that when you are done, we have a position first year. I know a number of you are 40 years, you have already started praying for God to open a door. You know, sometimes God will not open. God opened the door yesterday. It's only that you are not awake to see that it is opened. By the way, God has opened the door this morning for you. That's why they are here. So watch out that they might be handing some keys for your doors to you today. Open that door. Second, I wish you to create what I call intentional networks. Intentional networks. It's very interesting how sometimes we speak to friends, we speak to parents. Do you know anyone there? Can you link me to anyone? Are you able to speak with anyone there? Now, Africa University has made it possible for you to be able to create your network now. That network is likely to happen by not asking for a business card because it will be lost. A number of you, I know you are digital natives, where literally say, what is your Facebook account? What is your LinkedIn account? What is your... If you are able to get 2 or 3 of those as a student, then you have started well. But as the director of ceremonies said earlier, if this opportunity elapses without you establishing one network, then you need to ask yourself why you are at Africa University and why such a great day can pass you. Intentional networks. At times we do not know how God raises angels for us. Some of those who are here representing the industry, they are here as your angels. They are likely to carry your name, they are likely to carry your face, they are likely to carry your contacts, and you never know what that will do to you in another 3 years' time. Don't say, I come from the West, I am in Zimbabwe. I come from the East, I am in Zimbabwe. These industry players are operating in the continent, and they know who is who in the continent. Number 3, please lay a foundation for your success. Now, it is interesting how people define success. And most of them define success by enlisting failure. How they failed yesterday, how they failed last month, how they applied for 25 positions and they did not even get one response. Not that they got the regret, they not even get one response. And then they start saying, I think I am bewitched. You know, in Africa it has never died without a cause. Then you say, no, maybe you bewitched yourself. Because when opportunity was there for you to lay a foundation for your success, you did not step up to that space for you to lay that foundation. You cannot wait until you have an opportunity for attachment. Then when you are at attachment, that's when you are saying, oh, okay, I don't know if I will find attachment. And by the way, industry players, I still have a number of students who are not on attachment. They are still looking. I don't know if some of them are seated here, but there are also a number of them who are here in another semester. They are looking around, wondering if they will find attachment. This job fair is an opportunity for us to interact together. Let us open doors. Let us create intentional networks. Let us create a foundation for our success. That success begins now, in the next hour, in the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, the next 4 years when you are at Africa University. May I, on my own behalf, as your Vice Chancellor, and my cabinet, truly welcome our guest speaker, welcome the panelists, welcome every industry player who is here and the experts, and also welcome my students who have turned up very well. The opportunities are here. And now, may the job fair activity begin. Welcome, thank you.
Another round of applause. Thank you, our spiritual and academic leader. That's what I wanted to say before you came. So we are blessed here that we have prophets amongst us, and we also have angels. So our guests, you are our angels. You have been sent to do the right thing. So we have angels here, and we have also prophets who can see into the future. That's why we're talking about the future of work. Thank you so much, Vice Chancellor. We at Africa University, indeed, we are student-centered. We offer holistic training. We don't want to, it's not our intention to produce what I can call highly schooled or highly educated derelicts. We are not training misfits. We want a holistic person, academically good, and also being good in every aspect. So it's a real privilege for students who are here that you have this opportunity. Please take it seriously during the exhibitions. Don't just go there and start not being serious. Be serious, because you have, I want to repeat again, you are so privileged to meet a vice chancellor in your life. I never met all my vice chancellors from undergrads to PhD. I never met them. Maybe they didn't want to meet me, I don't know. But I never met them. So you are privileged. Let me take this opportunity. You know, it's very hot here in Zimbabwe. We are suffering from climate change. And before I call upon our guest speaker, I want the choir to have a song. Maybe this song might bring some rain to our country. Thank you, indeed. Okay. Thank you, indeed. The song is called Let It Rain in Mutare. So I'm sure today is going to rain. It's going to rain. I'm not one of those prophets who prophesy that Manchester is going to win, but I know it's going to rain. Okay, may I take this opportunity to allow our Director of Advancement in Public Affairs to welcome our guest speaker.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you all our guest speaker for this morning, Dr. Gordon Simango, who, as we mentioned in the introductions, is the Director, All Africa Conference of Churches, African Union Office of Advocacy. Gordon Simango is a Zimbabwean passionate about amplifying voices from marginalized communities to influence policy and decision-making. He has a strong desire to bring voices from the margins to the centers of decision-making. Gordon has worked at global levels, impacting international development policy, the worldwide human rights discourse, and humanitarian advocacy and relief. He currently serves as the director of the African Union Office of Advocacy at the All Africa Conference of Churches based in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where he oversees the development and management of annual budgets and leads a team of staff to promote mutual information and cooperation relationships with the AU and its component institutions, the UN, and other international actors. Gordon holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of South Africa, Development Studies in Public Administration, a Master's in Leadership and Management from the University of Zimbabwe through the African Leadership and Management Academy, ALMA, a postgraduate certificate in law, a postgraduate diploma in law, and a Master of Laws from all from the University of London. He earned his Doctor of Transformational Leadership in Entrepreneurial Organizational Transformation with honors from Baku Graduate University in the USA in March 2023. A very accomplished gentleman indeed. Over to you, Dr. Simango.
Thank you so much. Just listening to the curriculum vitae, I was wondering whether it's me or somebody else being introduced. I will start by saying that I will stand on the protocol already established by the Director of Advancement and Public Affairs together with the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mageto, because I realize we are many, and if I take time to read the protocol, it will take another 4 minutes before I dive into my speech. So I would like to start by saying, all protocol observed as I stand on the protocol already established. I would like to thank my family for this opportunity to be able to come here, especially my wife, who drove me all the way from Harare to here without complaining and asking for me to drive. So I was just sitting all the way to here, so thank you. I would also want to say that there are different stories as it comes to workplaces, and I think this is what you will discover. If you talk to somebody in Old Mutual, the story might be different from somebody who is maybe in Econet, or maybe someone who is a public servant, or maybe someone who is working in the NGO sector. My story today is going to be more centered on my experiences working in over 4 countries where I worked physically, but also I have been working in the past 25 years in the NGO sector. So whatever I say kind of like connects to that. I must say that I'm not a recruiter myself. My story would be best on someone who makes decisions on who can be recruited in the organization. So I'm not actively in the forefront of trying to find people to join, but I am involved in making decisions on who can be in this organization. And so that would be my story. The theme today that we have is the 21st century recruiter and the future of work. I also, as I was listening to the VC, really thinking, that's the keynote speech, that's what I was going to say. But he said it in his own words, and I'm going to say the same things in my own words as well. I want to start by saying our era is marked by rapid technological advancements, shifting democratic trends, and changing workplace dynamics. Therefore, it is imperative for us to reflect on these changes that are redefining workplaces and the way recruiters fish talent. I will focus on people that I have met as students coming into our institutions. If we were to hire that person, what is that we would be looking at? I think sometimes an employer's first impression of you and your initial interactions with them determine whether you get recruited or you don't get recruited. I would like to give an example. This is an illustration of market employees at a well-known supermarket here in Zimbabwe. One employee was 2 years into the company, and one was promoted ahead of a staff member who had been in the organization for 10 years. And they both had the same qualifications. If you would work in my workplace, people are not promoted because of their qualifications only or years of experience only. Perhaps it is more on merit. Quite odd for some of you, and maybe it's quite obvious for some of you. But certainly, I must also say that in my organization, seniority also matters. But beyond you being a senior and beyond your academic qualifications, there are some things that they look at. And this is the example that I want to give. An AU graduate in marketing, let me call her Yemi today, Yemi Sarich, if you were Ethiopian. It's an Ethiopian name because that's where I work. And another marketing graduate from University X, let me call this person John, and they work in the supermarket. A marketing manager in supermarket B passes by a roadside where a woman vendor sells tomatoes every day. It has been 6 months now, and the woman vendor is still selling tomatoes there. At first, the supermarket X marketing manager didn't notice the vendor, but then with passage of time, she does. And one day as she was sitting in her office, this vendor of tomatoes just crossed her mind. And she decided today that she was going to send 2 of her marketing employers to go and talk to the marketing vendor because something was crossing her mind in relation to tomatoes. And she sent Yemi from Africa University and then John from University X. So she first sends John from University X to say, I usually pass by the roadside there and there's a woman selling tomatoes. I want you to go and find the price of the tomatoes. So John says, that's an easy, very simple task. I will go, ma'am. And so John went and asked the woman, what is the price of tomatoes? And the woman responded that the tomatoes were costing $2 per kilo. And so John comes back. And the supervisor did not ask for a report immediately. So the supervisor decides to send Yemi to the same vendor. And she says, Yemi, go to the vendor by the roadside, perhaps along Penalonga Road, and get the price of tomatoes. So Yemi went, and then asked the woman who was selling tomatoes there. And Yemi asked for the price of tomatoes, and when she heard it's $2 per kg, some curiosity arose in her. Like, where do you actually get the tomatoes? Is it far away? And the person says, no, it's not very far away. I've been selling this for the past 9 months, and they're just coming from the farm which is nearby. They have greenhouses there. So Yemi looked at her time. She still had time. So she said, I think I should go to the supermarket, to the farm, and check myself. So she goes to the farm, checks the tomatoes are really there, the quality is really good, and then she has conversation with the people that are working there. If we were to buy tomatoes from you, will you be happy to supply them to our supermarket? So Yemi checked and checked and checked, and then she came back. And now it was time to report. So John, from University X, a marketing graduate, is now asked to give the report. And he says, ma'am, you sent me to go and look for the price or ask for the price of tomatoes. The price is $2 per kilo. And the marketing manager says, do you have anything else to say? John says, isn't it that you asked me to go and ask for the price? So the price is $2 per kilo. And that was the story. So John left. Yemi came back. Yemi was called in and now had to give her report to the manager. So she started by explaining everything and how she went, interacted with the person, how the person had responded, how she even visited the farm and how she calculated. She even had her laptop. She made a projection of if we were to buy these tomatoes, if they were to come here, we would be making good profit, and here are the projections. If I was to ask you a question, if you were a recruiter, or if you were in my position where you make decisions on who gets hired here, who would you hire? Yemi? Okay, I hear people would hire Yemi. And I would like to buttress this basically by just delving a little bit in the Bible as well, really looking at the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, verses 14 to 30. I think it's a very familiar story. You really know that we have 5 talents, 2 talents, and then 1 talent. And what later happened? The 5 talents went and invested 5 more talents. The 2 talents went and invested in that. The 1 talent did not invest anything in there. So the moral of the story of the talents and the moral of the story of the tomatoes is that for an AU graduate, for an AU marketing graduate, it is expected that they would not just be doing work as work. It would be expected that they would be applying the whole board of knowledge of the marketing field that they would have gone through at AU. I think this is how students, and this is how those that are going to go on internship must have that mindset. I have studied many things that none of these people where I am working today have studied. They might be marketing graduates, but they didn't go to AU. And AU is distinctive. It has its own DNA, as we were hearing here, that they build the whole person. The whole person must be seen when you go out there to work. I think it is really very, very important to realize, it's very important for you to realize that I think the VC was talking about your first impressions or the impressions of the people that you're going to be working with when you live here, the impressions of the people that you're going to meet when you actually go on internship. I think it is very, very important for you to really, because sometimes it's just one chance. I say when I am sitting in my office and we have interns in our office, the intern who is very curious about what is happening in the institution is likely to tickle the people who have the capacity or who have the decision to say, can they be hired here? I always say sometimes we have students and we are sitting with them in a meeting. Is there anyone who is willing to take notes today? So staff are kind of like looking around who would take the notes. I always say if I had an opportunity and I'm an AU student in that space, I would say I'm here. I'm going to take the notes. Because taking the notes kind of like conjures you to the leadership. If you were to go there with Professor Mageto and he is sitting there, you take the notes, you definitely know that your notes, when they are going to be read, or the minutes, he's going to have some kind of like impression if you write them very well. This is your chance and this is your opportunity to pitch yourself to the leadership, to the people that actually matters. and do not blow the chance at that time. Don't really feel like, I'm not gonna do that. My first job outside the country, I went to work for the World Council of Churches in Geneva. We didn't have any secretaries, and I was surprised. I had to photocopy my own papers, and I was the program coordinator there, and I was really surprised. Because I went to university and graduated, I learned that I should not be carrying my degree around. Here I am here to work. I'm not going to carry my honors bachelor of whatever from AU. I am here to demonstrate by my works. I think we heard about from the chaplain when she was sharing today about the seeds that were sown. This is the time for me to germinate, and I am not going to blow the chance. I always say to students when they come to my place, I tell them this story about marketing, but I also tell them, be visible. And AU students are visible, or should I say must be visible. Be ready to volunteer, be ready to do dirty tasks, and some who are well established might not be immediately forthcoming in taking them. So please, I think, I think the chair here was talking about we have to be godly in our contacts and the things that we actually do. The theologians here would tell you of what they call theology of work. You serve as if though you are serving God himself. If you were stapling those papers at work, staple them like if God was to see how I have stapled these papers. I'm not just going to staple them from the middle of the paper and just leave everything for whoever is going to see that paper. I am going to work, because I'm coming from a Christian university, am I not? Everything that I have learned here has some kind of like theology in it. And I think you are different because you're coming from a Christian institution. And the way you conduct yourselves, the way you write that report, when you are asked to write the report, when you go out there, write the report as if though God was going to see the report. Because if you write like that, you would not just write like, okay, I will send it and then my supervisor would edit. Or if you were doing journalism here, you start writing yourself as the reporter, then it goes to the sub-editor before it goes to the editor, and each time somebody is adding something. But if you were to write that article, or if you were to pitch that story as if though you were pitching it to God, you apply the whole board of knowledge of what you actually have learned. And so I think it is very, very important for you to do that. Just be visible wherever you go. So the other thing that I have noticed with students coming on to attachment is that we are sitting, maybe we are running a workshop. Let's give introductions. Everybody introduces themselves. Come to the student. The student just say, my name is Gordon Simango. Then that's it. Take the opportunity to market yourself during that time when you are asked to introduce yourself. If you were studying law, for example, here at Africa University, you can go, I'm John, I'm a law student at Africa University. I have a passion for international law, especially the law of armed conflict. Civilians suffer a lot during crossfire. And I have an interest in upholding of international humanitarian law or law of armed conflict by conflicting parties. I also realize that many people or many institutions or many parties that go into conflict don't have any knowledge of this, and I would like to be useful in edifying in those spaces. The moment you speak like that, when you're sitting together with lawyers, you're sitting with politicians, we're sitting with diplomats. My work is to, most of the times I'm meeting with ambassadors in Addis Ababa, interacting with them again and again. When you pitch yourself that way, the truth is that something is going to follow you. You are not just introducing yourself as just a law graduate from Africa University or a law student that's interning at a certain institution in Addis Ababa. Take the opportunity, take the bull by the horns, and just market yourself. Students always say, oh, yeah, my name is this, and they end. If we are in meetings, or if we had gone, usually I take some people that I work with. we go and meet a certain ambassador, say it's a South African ambassador, we have interactions on key asks that we would like to present to them. And then I turn to the student and say, do you have anything to say? Everybody's listening. Sometimes, in most cases, they say no. And please don't say no, because this is your opportunity to be seen again. If you don't have any say or anything to say, the truth is that you were listening, you were hearing what the discussion was. You can say, I think I concur fully with what the VC, Professor Mageto actually said. And you can say those things that he said in his own words. In a way, they can actually see you were listening, you were not just sitting, you have an interest in what is going on. So what I'm trying to say, based on my experience, is that like the VC said, you are not going to be hired simply because of your referee or whatever. You get the chance to be seen, just be seen. Nobody knows who your referee is. Of course, some institutions still ask for referees, but when you get the hook to be able to say something, don't blow the chance. Just hook on and go ahead. Be inquisitive. Ask certain things. There are new trends in academia that people who are working out there do not know. Take the chance to introduce those things to those people in the workplace. You know, these days in journalism, this is what's actually happening in terms of maybe AI, many things to do with social media and things like that. Then you can introduce those things that you are already learning in school. Please do that, because that is the only way that you can be different from people who are already there. And this is something that people can actually see, that we have something new to introduce to this organization. When they would think of somebody to hire for social media, definitely they would know that we have John here who is a specialist, or who actually know, or who introduced something on our website during the time when they were interning with us. So I think it is very, very important that you actually do that. Build relationships. It has been said already. Part of the things that we do when we're doing reference check, which sometimes you don't really see, is that we go on the internet, because we know most of you are on the internet, on your LinkedIn page, on the things that you have posted on the internet. When you walk in for an interview, we can sometimes even recognize your face. This is the person. But you don't really know that we have actually been checking those things. By the time you come and sit with us, and by the time we make a decision on somebody we already know. Now it would have been a chance for you to just pitch yourself. Integrity is very, very important when you go to the workplace. HR practitioners here would actually vouch on to that. These days, I say this because I'm talking to people who are grown-ups, but also we have seen students from universities who have discredited themselves because of their conduct when they are in workplaces. They go into workplaces and they meet Gordon Simango. Gordon Simango proposes love to them. Something happens there in the workplace, and everybody knows before they realize that relationship has just gone under the rails, right? You are a social worker. What you did in that workplace, it's very difficult for you to cover it. You never know. Things might just go beyond what actually happened when you were interning there. Just make sure that you guard yourself. Like I said, HR practitioners here will tell you, you are guarded. The VC here would tell you that you are under protection. You should not do things that are going to dehumanize you, that are going to have a huge impact on your career in the future. Because this institution relates with that institution, and they relate with that institution. Your story here might start from here, it goes to A, B, C, and D. So just watch out on your integrity as well. Discipline is very, very important. I think it is very, very important for you to be disciplined. This is where it came to the theology of work that I talked to you about. Your application letters. Before, when I was writing applications, when I went into the job market, is you start by, I hereby apply for this position or whatever that I have seen. These days it's all different. These recruiters will tell you that now we are looking for a hook story of your life and your profession that hooks in the job description that you are applying to. You no longer kind of like showcasing your qualifications in your application letter. Because anyway, you are going to attach them. The HR practitioners would like to see them. And there's no need for you to attach the certificates and the application letters, and your application letters, it's all long about your academic qualifications again. They want to see how distinctive and how different you are and how you can actually hook onto the story. If you have an opportunity to go for an interview, prepare well. The thing that we usually ask, especially in my organization, is your story to what you are saying. We usually ask, give us a specific example of what you're saying. And sometimes people have not thought about that. Whatever you say, if you were to ask with a follow-up question, can you explain that further? Don't find yourself stuck. And the best way for you to explain that further is for you to tell a story of how that actually happened. Or if you learned it at AU, give that story, because that story is also going to impact on the other people as well. I would also want to say that these days, I like AU, we heard that you have over 28 nationalities who are studying here. Inclusion and diversity, if you were to work in my place, or if you're going to be looking for an international job, the VC said that you might be Zimbabwean, but you might not be working here in Zimbabwe in the next 5 years, or as a graduate from AU. The whole issue of inclusion and the whole issue of diversity, one of your values here at AU is Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is you are, because I am. Somebody who can socialize, somebody who can relate to others, somebody who can hook onto the stories or the difficulties or the happinesses that others are going through in the workplace. That is your Ubuntu. And Ubuntu is very, very important. You need to learn to, you can have your best, what can I say, A++, that's the grading that you actually use here, or 2-1, or your distinctions if you were in the other universities. But what matters when you get to the workplace is not the fact that you would trailblaze on your own. AU is going to trailblaze as AU. It's not going to be the VC himself only. My organization, the All Africa Conference of Churches, is going to trailblaze as All Africa Conference of Churches. So you should be able to connect and work with others in that symbiotic relationship. You won't be able to make it on your own, because the reality is that if you're going to try to make it on your own, the people here from the workplaces would tell you that you would find people who would try to politic about you, people who want to pull you down, people who don't want you to go forward. And the only way that you can actually maneuver those spaces is to be able to move with others. And so I would like to conclude, because I think my time is almost up now. In conclusion, the 21st century recruiter holds a pivotal position in shaping the future of work. Again, be visible, be inquisitive, be out there, meet people in professional associations, be interested, subscribe, if you can, subscribe with student membership, apply the professional body of your knowledge, take time to reflect and tick boxes. And tick boxes that you have learned in your courses, be teachable. D-roll, like I said, don't carry your degree around. If you're talking to somebody who is a cleaner who never went to university, honestly, there is no need for you to be carrying your master's or your doctorate degree around that person. They are just human, just like you. D-roll, do not carry your degree where it is not needed. Sometimes it is how you talk to colleagues who never had the chance to be at uni. Allow yourself to grow and learn. Discipline. I want to emphasize the theology of work works, and it works for me. Serve as if though you are serving God. Forget about the HR person who is coming from the Zimbabwe Farmers Union, or somebody who is coming from Old Mutual, or somebody who is coming from whatever association. You are coming from a Christian university, and you are going out there to serve God through your work. And if you are conscious of that, you would excel. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause. Thank you so much, guest speaker, for, when you were speaking, I was just saying to myself, I know I'm not the person who recruits people here. Or saying maybe, can the guest speaker be hired to talk to students before they go to attachment every time? Because we've learned a lot from you, but I could see some of our students, they don't have notebooks, they were not writing. I hope you were getting it into your minds. I was also writing down. This is very, very important aspects that will make you a distinct student. So you must always carry your pen and your notebook so that you get all these things, or you are recording, or the recording is going to be shared. Indeed, like what I was doing, also trying to jot down very important points that it will make you different from other students from other universities. That will have this DNA in every student from Africa University. And most important, whatever you do, wherever you are doing it as if you are doing it for God, including assignments. So we want to see improvements in the assignments. When Sonia give you assignment, write as if you are writing to God. So if you always get 90%. So if you get 60% and all those things that you are getting below 80%, you are not writing to God. I don't know who you are writing to. You tell us who you are writing to. So whatever you do, put your very, very best. And I was also happy that the director was talking directly to me in terms of journalism. Yes. We really, in journalism, we don't want a reporter who writes something for me to edit. You must submit what is called a clean copy. So that we just take it and put it there. So, we don't want to develop this disease in journalism. We call it the itchy pencil. They tended to try to want to correct everything. So if everything is done correctly, there will be nothing to correct. If you are hired to correct a document and you don't see that there's anything to correct, you've done your job. You've checked that it's okay. So don't just correct things. Sometimes you mislead people. So thank you so much. I don't want to waste time, but I really enjoyed a lot of what you say. Take the bull by laws. Let's have integrity. Let's have discipline. Let's de-roll. Let's de-roll. Let's de-roll. Please, let's de-roll. Maybe if you meet me in the corridors, you can call me by my first name. I'm de-rolling. I've started de-rolling. Okay. Thank you so much. Because if you are walking in Mtare, in Harare city, no one knows you're a professor. Someone can headbutt you, but someone who knows you is the one who can say, "Hi, professor." So when you are, wherever you are in church and so forth, you are a child of God. You listen to the pastor. Okay, thank you so much. We now call upon the SRC president to give us remarks. Your Excellency.
All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed faculty members and fellow students, what an exhilarating day it has been. Today we're privileged to have the distinguished Dr. Gordon Simango, the director of the All Africa Conference of Churches, grace our campus and enlighten us with his profound insights and on the theme, the 21st century recruiter and the future of work. I stand before you as the SRC president of Africa University, filled with joy and gratitude for this remarkable opportunity. First and foremost, let us express our heartfelt appreciation to Dr. Simango for gracing us with his presence. Your speech today was nothing short of extraordinary, sir. Shedding the light on the rapidly evolving landscape of work and the role of recruiters in this ever-changing world. We are truly honored to have you here, sharing your invaluable knowledge with us. As we listened to your presentation, sir, I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and optimism for the future. The 21st century has brought about a revolution in the way we work. with technological advancements and globalization shaping the job market. It is a time of both challenges and opportunities. A time where recruiters hold the key to unlocking the potential of talented individuals like ourselves. But what truly resonated with me in Dr. Simango's address was his emphasis on the human element. Yes, we live in an era of automation and artificial intelligence, but at its core, the world of work is still about its people. Connecting with others, building relationships, and harnessing the power of collaboration. In this hyper-connected world where information flows freely, it is our unique human qualities that set us apart. So, my fellow students, let us embrace the future with open arms and hearts filled with joy. Let us remember that we are not passive recipients of job opportunities, but active participants in shaping our own destinies. The 21st century recruiter is not just someone who finds a job for you. They are partners in your journey, guiding you towards your true potential. As we move forward, let us celebrate the diversity and talents and aspirations within our student body. Each one of us has something unique to offer. A gift waiting to be unleashed upon the world. Let us seize every opportunity to learn, to grow, and to prepare ourselves for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Dr. Simango, your presence here has ignited a fire within us. Your insights have sparked our imaginations and opened our minds to new possibilities. On behalf of the entire student body, I express our deepest gratitude for your wisdom. In conclusion, let us embrace the future of work with joy and enthusiasm. Let us remember that we are not passive observers, but active participants in shaping our own destinies. Together, let's unlock our potential and create a future where the 21st century recruiter becomes a beacon of hope and opportunity for all. Thank you, Dr. Simango, for sharing your wisdom with us. And thank you, fellow students, for being part of this remarkable journey. The future is ours to shape. And I am confident that together, we'll build a world where everyone's dream can be realized. Thank you. Asante Sana.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asante Sana. I don't know what it means. It was said here in this country when something strange was happening. So whenever you say Asante Sana, we become terrified. But anyway, never mind. We are protected. So I'll take this opportunity to, at least some people are smiling now. It's good to smile, you know. If you don't smile, you get older very quickly. And smile increases your face value. Yeah. So in Zimbabwe, we had a campaign called Smile, Zimbabwe Smile. Can we smile a little bit? Huh? Smile Africa, smile. We must smile, we must be happy if you are alive. Even if you didn't eat, as long as you are alive, it's okay. There's hope for you to do something better. So I will just ask for very burning questions to our, if you have any questions, to our guest of honor so that we can, maybe you want something, just two, in the interest of our time.
My name is Jeffrey Tanguna Murumene, a second year student here. So my question is, you were talking a lot about, the certain soft skills that we need to have for our work, to be in the workplace, right? You were talking on matters to do with integrity, the de-rolling and all that. That's something that, you can't learn necessarily in a module as a course or anything. Right. So how can we, as students or generally as people, how can we develop such soft skills which would then be impactful in the workplace? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Nyamongo Nyachira Beauty from Kenya, first year student taking masters in biotechnology with concentration in climate change. My concern is on the role of All African Churches Conference that is based in Ethiopia, at Zapopo. And especially on the issues of climate change. Now that Africa University is in collaboration with the Cleveland University to do this particular program, I would like to know if we as the students or pioneers in this particular program, could we be having an opportunity to also air our views on how it's supposed to be done so that we can counter this menace of climate change? As all of us could agree, today here it's extremely hot. The reason is because of climate change. So it's something that is a global pandemic. What do we want to do? Would you engage Africa University with this new program that they have introduced so that we can be able to come up with measurable changes? If so, would you give us a hearing today so that we can also make arrangements on the same? Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you for your presentation. It was very insightful. My question is, how do I know as a student whether or not I'm doing too much? For instance, in your analogy, you had given the two people, the John and the female character, about how John did what he was specifically asked, but the other went above and beyond. But John followed the specific instruction that he was given, and even though she went above and beyond, we don't know whether her statistics or her facts were accurate, or if the employer themselves needed such data or information. So what I'm trying to ask within the practical setup is, how do I know that when I'm an intern within my field, I'm not over-exerting myself, even with the things that I know that I'm doing, but my knowledge is usually base level in some aspects more than others. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we are at university now. I'll give the guest of honor a chance to respond. Maybe you can respond there, sir.
Thank you very much for the very difficult questions. I'm not very sure whether I would have answers to everything you said, but I certainly would have something to share. It might not resonate with you, so I will start from the last going to the first. So the last one, how do I know if I'm not doing too much? I will give another example. For example, let me take a VC here. If VC is meeting with the academic dean, or he has called one of them to his office, the truth is that he already knows what he wants. And I think most of you here who reports to him would know there are times when he interrupts you when you are talking. Like, I have this, and I have that, and I have that, and I have that. He says, okay. He drives towards what he wants. And I would say to the last speaker that it's always best for you to prepare more than enough and be asked by the VC, who then would point you to the things that he is needing at that point, rather than you sitting there and being found wanting. And I think if you take that position, I also don't really know how much the marketing manager wanted, but the truth is that the marketing manager was impressed by the restlessness of this person when they went to ask the price. And the result was that it actually benefited the supermarket, because they ended actually having to order the tomatoes, and the tomatoes were selling at a very good price. So I would say, yes, she could have gone overboard, but the truth is that she edified her company, and her company actually accepted what she did. And I think it's still to the marketing manager to would have helped the person to navigate, like, this is what she's looking for, and this is what she's looking for. The good thing is that the information was there. That's what I would say. This young person actually had the information. So that's what I would say, that don't be found wanting where you would say, oh, but I had the opportunity. Like this person said, I realized I had time, so I went to the farm. This other person still had time, but they went and decided to come back to the office, possibly sit and do nothing. So I think that's what I would say. The second question, really looking at climate change and maybe the role of the All Africa Conference of Churches in it. I must say that in the All Africa Conference of Churches, we do have a network of young people that are working on climate change. For COP26, which was in Glasgow, I personally was actually looking for young people in Africa to take to Glasgow for the UNFCCC, the COP Conference of Parties. I think you would know that as a climate change person, the UNFCCC process, because we do have an observer status in there as All Africa Conference of Churches, and we can register and send our own delegates. And we realized that we didn't have young people, and it was difficult for us to get then who is amongst the young people that we can take as part of the delegation. So yes, we work on that, and we would be happy I wouldn't really know who exactly would be the person, but we'll do that. Okay, that's okay. Yes, I would be happy to connect to the youth network on climate change. You know, the Africa Climate Summit was just last year, and it was in Nairobi. And young people from all over Africa were there. And there's an opportunity also through the All Africa Conference of Churches to work on that. The soft skills was the first question, which is very, very true. I think we all have the hard way, isn't it? We would all have our degrees. When we live here, everybody has their degree, but what matters is exactly what I was saying in terms of the soft skills. I think we learn them from many other areas. Here from the university itself, at some point I was actually looking at one of the modules that you actually do. I think there's something to do with ethics or whatever from first years and all these communication skills and things like that. I realized when I was looking at this subject, it's incorporated in almost every degree. But you can get that from here, but I also think that it's something that you go out looking for yourself, because you still find people who have worked maybe for the past 10 years, who you'd still find very maybe, you might think that they lack this kind of skills. And I think short courses as well, usually these are like 2-day courses. If you go on LinkedIn, like Professor was saying, you would find tons and tons of these kind of short courses, and most of them are for free. These days, internet has these things, and the courses are usually for free. But what you caught is very, very important. I think the soft skills are very, very important in realizing that everyone has the hardware skills. Because we all, if the minimum qualification is a degree, there's no way they would get somebody with a diploma. And you would get over 200 applications with the same qualification that you're looking for. And what matters is actually your soft skills. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Here you are, students. LinkedIn, you know, social media, some of you, I asked you in class, they are on, I wouldn't call them useless sites, but, you know, there's this one, you know, I try to just say it in a derogatory way, talk, tick, something like that. That one is of no use for you. Or they call it TikTok. I don't think there's anything to gain from there, because anyone can, you know, can talk, tick, and TikTok, and it goes on and on. You'll be wasting money, data, and so forth. But you need to go to those sites where you learn something, because learning is an everyday practice. But I'm also trying to also learn how talk, tick works, so that I don't get left behind. But most of the things there are of, are of no use. And also the director said that you leave digital footprints. So when they want to hire you, they just go online and they see you trying to do funny things on TikTok and so forth. Then maybe just one incident that you do on TikTok will disqualify you. So I think you need also to be careful. But we're not saying don't do TikTok because you want it. But limit and try to be sober. But on TalkTik, most people are not sober on TalkTik, so it's very difficult for you to be sober on that platform. So, one more question.
Thank you so much for the teaching. My name is Cinderella Gogoko. I'm a Part 1-2 student. I took the challenge from Mr. Gadzikwa, so yeah, ladies here to represent. Okay, so I heard you talking about the fact that before we even come for the interviews, you would already know about the stuff that we post online and the content that we do in every single thing like that. So my question is, what distinguishes content that can get us recruited from content that can get us discredited? Because from what we're doing as children who are on TikTok, it's like we're trying to market ourselves. That's our way of marketing ourselves. So now we want to be able to know what draws the line between being of credit and being useless, or as you were trying to say, I know that's what you wanted to say, but you just didn't say it. So what really draws the line there? Because by being on TikTok, that's us putting ourselves out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is the last. I guarantee you, guests will speak, no trouble you again.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Cinderella, for that question. I guess recruiters here would agree with me that when we are looking for you on social media, in most cases in our mind, we would find other things, yes. But we are looking for excellence, the things that you have done that you might not have included in your application that helps to elevate you above the others. So LinkedIn is one source because that's a professional part of social media. And many people, like professors here or whoever, they actually do have a LinkedIn account. People who would have graduated from university like you, we would expect that you might be on LinkedIn somewhere. And somehow many people are active in there. They are contributing to discussions, they are contributing to debates, they are edifying and helping in thought leadership in certain areas. And so we want to see what is the contribution that we have done in your field besides your academic qualifications, because that's moving, isn't it? You could have graduated like me 10 years ago or 20 years ago from university, and that's your certificate. But how has been your professional life been progressing over the years? However, if we find information on the internet that you had a criminal offense somewhere, it's already a red flag, right? Isn't it? You were incriminated over something. Of course, lawyers here would say that you can't prove that because it's just on social media. But the truth is that we are human. They would tell you, recruiters, they would not just ignore that because they cannot qualify that whether it was actually, it ended up being a criminal offense, that they would take note of that. So if there would be two top candidates on the interviews, that might, whatever happened to you might discredit you, somebody else might be taken above you, because sometimes it's the risk analysis and the level of the risk margin that the organization must take. Recruitment is very expensive, they will tell you. They don't want to take you and then within 3 months something actually happens. Then they throw you out, then they have to start the process again. So part of what he says here about TikTok or whatever, it might turn against you, but usually when recruiters go online to look for you, they are looking for excellence and they are looking for what you have done to contribute to your field beyond you being at Africa University. I hope that helps a bit.
I believe that it really helps. So check out yourself. You have volunteers in mission, you have student ambassadors, you have investment club, you have debate club, you have environmental club, you have so much. Increase your presence, that gives you a level of positivity.
Thank you, our guest and Vice Chancellor. I know the VC would have said something. So I prophesied it before, but now you did it because you are from an ethical background. So if I were you, but I'm not you, okay, I will leave tactic to celebrities and the fashionistas. You know what? The people that are called fashionistas, you know, all these, I know you know what I'm talking about. Okay, let me take this opportunity to invite the SRC president to give a gift to our guest of honor. I understand is about to leave, or a representative of the SRC. Maybe Your Excellency, you can remain seated. Okay.
So you would see what was given to us. Thank you so much. We receive it with deep appreciation. Thank you, VC. Thank you to the whole university. Thank you very much.
Oh. Thank you so much for coming and sharing invaluable information which is going to transform and change the lives of our students. May we all arise. The rest will remain seated here, will be saved here. May we all arise and allow our guests to depart.